All right. We are 3 minutes after 12 my time. I started the timer a little bit late, so we're going to cut it off a little early right where the song ends. And I want to welcome you all to today's show. My name is Anthony Barocas. I am here for YOLO Live, as if it wasn't on the screen enough. I am here, and today we are going to be talking about microphones. And I know a lot of people, it's like the second most asked question in live streaming or any production after what's the best camera? And the answer to what microphone should I use is sort of the same as what's the best camera? And the answer is what do you want to do with it? So I will be discussing several different microphones here. I have a plethora of gear. I write for Streaming Media Magazine, and previously in Streaming Media Magazine, I have published an article. Let me call this up over here. Let's see, where is that? Da, 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 da. I did an article called, go over here. Oh, is it not connected? Okay, let's not do that one. Let me figure out why that is not showing up. That's my laptop. It's supposed to be, oh, here it is. Here's my laptop. I just pushed the wrong button. I did a seminar on how to become an audio ninja. And I talk about the audio path from a person's voice all the way through to the device or the stream or whatever. And there's multiple places where everything can go wrong. And then for in the YOLO Live tech tutorials on YouTube, I did a video called Microphones for Streaming on Tech Talk Wednesdays. Oh, that's today. So there's actually a specific video about, oh, that's just the wrong tab. Let me go over here. Here it is. How to use audio mixing. 7 places you can ruin your audio. That is in the YOLO Box Tech Tips, which you can see right up here, Tech Tips. So if you go to YouTube, and then you click on Tech Tips, there are 19 different videos, and one of those is how to use audio mixing. 7 places you can ruin your audio, but knowing where you can ruin it is where you can make sure it doesn't get ruined. So this is a good place to start. And again, like I said, if I go over here to this other one for Streaming Media Magazine, how to become an audio ninja, you could just basically search Audio Ninja Streaming Media or search Audio Ninja in my name and it should come up. I did it on a new machine and it found both the LinkedIn link I post and the Twitter link that I posted, and that will get you there. And that's like an hour long seminar that I gave at Streaming Media Seminar. This was Streaming Media West I did. And that is a great way to make sure, because audio is one of those things that's really hard to figure out because you can't see it. Other than the little audio meter we have on the YOLO box, it's completely invisible. So that's one of the things, that's what we're going to talk about today is audio. But quick, I always love where everyone is watching the show from. I really find it amazing that people are watching this from around the world. There's just a worldwide audience. And if I click back over here, it'll probably give me an update. You know, we got a bunch of people watching on YouTube. We got a bunch of people watching on Facebook. I can get the Facebook and YouTube comments just pouring into this location. And also, what streaming questions do you have? It doesn't have to be related to audio. This is a Q&A show. So if you're tuning in and you have a question that's not related to audio, feel free to ask it because this is a Q&A show. It's a live show. You've got somebody right here waiting to answer your questions. If I can, I will be upfront. I don't work in the engineering at YOLO Live. I don't work in China. I live and work in Texas, United States. So I'm not able to see what they're doing, what's coming down the line, and I don't have the engineering expertise to know if a feature can or cannot. And I will be honest, if I don't know something, I will tell you that I just don't know. I'm not going to make something up. I'm not going to act like I know something that I don't know. So Peter from Slovakia says hello. And then Blake from the British Virgin Islands gave me a hand, pink, waving face, blue, smiling. Okay. Apparently that emoji did not make it through. Digital India writes in from the state of India. Thank you very much for tuning in from India. I think we checked last time. It's like after midnight there. Raj Kumar says hello from India also. I'm going to scroll through a couple ads there. Digital India also says you are very happy and do exercise. I do enough exercise. Maybe not enough. Woodworking is in Dallas, Texas. I wish I could. Kirk Play Woodworking. I think that's what that says. You can like type that in and I can put it back up. Watching from Kenya. You are also a Michael Jackson. I'm not even close to a Michael Jackson. Is there a video about how to set up a DSLR for best YOLO stream? Go to the YouTube channel and there go to a previous live. I talked all about cameras. There was an entire episode about cameras, and I talked about camcorders, webcams, action cams, DSLRs, and more. We covered a whole gamut of cameras. So that is already covered in a video that I did 3 weeks ago, I think. So yes, that is really good there. Rode Wireless Go 2. Yes, very good camera. The little one I have, which you may have seen me playing with pre-show, this is actually not a Rode. This is the full aim, but basically Rode came out and did like 2.4 gig, and they did it really well. And they've got the Rode 2 now, which does 2 microphones to 1 receiver and does recording. And I did a video again for streaming media, and these are all Wi-Fi. These are all working on 2.4 gigahertz. And I did a video on the show floor after a company called Deity came out with their wireless mic, which is this big chunky thing. And I asked them, let's use it on the NAB show floor. And they're like, yeah, we don't want to do that. And I went over to Rode and I says, can we use yours on the show floor? They're like, sure. And they gave me a microphone, and then the person I was interviewing had a microphone. And then while we were doing that, there was 2 other people in the booth on microphones and demoing them. And then while we were doing the interview, he turned on another one. So there's like 5 or 6 of them all going at the same time in the middle of this awful RF environment that is NAB, because there's just so much broadcast wireless stuff going on, and they all worked beautifully. So Rode really has it nailed. But now these other companies are, basically taking a page out of Rode's book. They're available different form factors, different styles, different colors, different things like that. Like one of the things with the full aim is they don't put their name on the back of it. So if you just use the clip, you're not advertising Rode on here. Although I will be honest, Rode has the handle as well. And we'll get to that in a minute. But if you're interested in the full aim, again, I do more than just these. I did a review on streaming media on the full aim 1000 Pro 2.4 gig wireless mic kit. Again, this is for Streaming Media Producer, which is a website that's open to anyone. You can sign up for weekly newsletters and updates when new articles get published. You'll get notified about those. This I did back in December of last year. And very nice kit. Has a integrated digital signal processing. So if it's noisy, you can actually do noise reduction in the microphone, which is pretty cool. Although I find it a little bit too strong, but it can be really helpful if you're in the middle of a trade show, or other noisy environments. So check, if you are a streaming media producer, check out Streaming Media Magazine and Streaming Media Producer for more tech tips. Stream415 says, I stream baseball games and don't have mic in on my cameras. Ooh, I can only use line in or mic in, I think. Is there USB-A or USB-C in mic setup? I do baseball games and don't have mic in on my cameras. Well, A lot of cameras have that now, but I can understand if you don't have mic in on the cameras, that can make it a little bit harder. But using a kit like this, which I used if you go to the live show that I did at the Tech Expo in Dallas, I was literally on this microphone the whole time. And you could take one of these and put it down by where the action is and wirelessly come back to your YOLO box with the receiver. This is the receiver. And this is what I'll show you the face end it. This is the receiver. And this is what I used to do that live show. And it's very handy. It weighs nothing. And this one even comes with a charging case, which is another one of the reasons I gave it high marks in the article. Let's see, Ben, watching from New Hampshire today. Say hello to New Hampshire. Jeremy is watching live in the UK. Oseni is watching from Nigeria. Good afternoon, video streams back from Austin, Texas. Man, you're a regular here today. Thanks for coming. Ground loops. When working off portable batteries, should my mics and my YOLO Box Pro be on the same battery or different ones? Got other tricks? Let's see. Get other tricks to get rid of hums? Yes, I do. I've got 2 tricks. Should your technically this is on a battery. It's got a built-in battery. Here's another. Actually, this is a transmitter. But you know, if you've got a belt pack receiver, they're all on internal batteries. You get ground loop hums, which is like a buzz from the AC power that you might be plugged into. You get those buzzes when you've got different ground potentials between different devices. And what that means is the cable that's plugged into your YOLO box is plugged into something else that is also plugged into AC, which I actually do have right now. My YOLO box is plugged into AC, and my mixer, let's go to the overhead view. My mixer here is actually plugged in right now. This is the power cable. It's actually a USB cable, but it is a power cable. So there's 5 volts going into this big mixer. It actually runs off of USB. And I've got my YOLO box up here, and this is also plugged into, as I covered in a previous video, my power adapter, and it's got USB-C coming to power the devices on the table. And they're both plugged in, but then that power adapter, that's one strip. So I really don't have that much ground potential difference because they're actually plugged into the same AC. You get a hum usually when you're plugged into 2 different ACs. Like if you're taking audio, if you go to an event and you want to get audio from someone else who is doing the audio mixing, and then they run a cable over to you, what they're plugged into 20 feet away might be different than what you're plugged into, just the way buildings are wired. The power cables may be going in 2 different places. And in that case, you will very likely have a hum. And there's a couple ways around that. I think I have one right here. There's, you go on your electronics retailer of choice. I will admit I have used Amazon in the past. And you just look for ground loop hum eliminator, and I just added a bunch of these. These are really tiny. This doesn't even have a name on it. That's how generic it is. These are really tiny little adapters, and what they are is transformers. There's a transformer on this side, and there's a transformer on this side. And what they do is they electrically isolate. Actually, that's a good indication of a transformer. They electrically isolate the 2 sides. Signal can pass through, but the actual voltage difference that might be on either side of this cable will not. And what I'm doing with this is I will be at a show where I need to record 4 different rooms for 2 days, and I'm going to be pulling from what they call house sound, and I'm going to plug their XLR into my, let me get that too. I'm going to plug their XLR into this little Beach Tech mixer. It's the DXA2. It's an older model, but it's perfect what I need. I take their feed, whether it's line or mic, comes into here. Now, that might be different than what I have. The Beach Tech have a ground lift in here, and I can switch it between two different settings to hopefully eliminate whatever ground potential hum might exist between the two things. If that doesn't work, then I will be plugging this into my isolator, which then goes into my DSLR. And so technically I have two different ways to hopefully remove any sort of ground hum noise that potential that would exist between the mixer that they're using in the conference room and my recording, which could be a YOLO box, but in that case is going to be a DSLR. All right, great question. Thank you for that. Anthony is a young boy, super duper. I don't know. I'll take that as a compliment. Watching from San Francisco, first live watch. Have enjoyed the back catalog. Well, Stream 415, whatever your name is. I appreciate the compliment, and I aim to try to provide useful information to streamers and YOLO box users around the world. Alexandros Roussos says, hello. Good profile picture too. Thank you. Can't beat a dad dance. I don't know if that's a compliment or sarcasm. Please increase the volume. Well, I can't do I don't want to go too high on the meter. I could probably come over. Oh, wait. I could probably come over here and no. There, I went up to 8. You can let me know if that helps. Woodworking says the volume is low. Staten Island. On the VU meter on the YOLO Box Pro, do I want to be in the yellow at all, or does that mean my gains are too high? Okay, that's this question, right? I'm tapping on it. There we go. On the VU, it's a V and a U for volume units. On the YOLO Box Pro, do I want to be in the yellow at all, or does that mean my gains are too high? I actually try to sit in the yellow. I find in the yellow is good. Going too high into the red can be clipping. And when you go back to my 12 tips video, test. Take 30 minutes and sit there with a microphone or an audio mixer and do a bunch of talking in the green, do a bunch of talking in the yellow, do a bunch of talking in the red, and see how loud you can make it. Just keep going and describe what you're doing in the video. And then in the recording, you watch it and it says, oh, okay, that's where that audio level is. That's where that audio level is. That's where that audio is. Oh, okay, when I see that on the meter, and I have not done it since the 4.0 or the 4.1 update where the audio meter reacts completely differently than how the YOLO Box Pro meter worked before. So I have not redone my testing to figure out exactly where those levels are. So I will admit I have not done my due testing since the update. Samuel is from Luxembourg in Europe. John Rapp says, any drawbacks to sending the webcam to the computer and streaming that rather than streaming straight from the YOLO box when at home base? Yeah, because I feel the quality directly from the YOLO box from the main compressed video stream is going to be higher quality than if you then tell the YOLO box to make a webcam version of it, send it over to a computer, which is going to have to expand it and then recompress it for that stream. Not only are you just compressing it 3 times, you're compressing it once in the stream, then you're compressing it as a camera, and then you're opening it and compressing. Not only are you doing it 3 times, which can lead to extra artifacts, but I don't think the webcam version is as clear and clean as the built-in encoding of the mainstream in the YOLO Box Pro, or even the original. So that's my thought on that. Have you any idea how the new bonding algorithm works on the YOLO Box? I know how bonding works, and I have a Wednesday coming up talking about bonding, so we'll cover that then. And you can read about bonding online. Kirk. Well, good. Oh, Kirk Riley. Okay, good. It's really tiny on my screen, so I apologize. I couldn't make it all out. Good to meet you, Kirk. And 2 Pineapples is back from Hawaii. Volume is low. Okay, I'm in the middle of the yellow meter. Do, 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 do. For good synchronization when streaming live music session, how would you recommend I take sound from mixing board to YOLO box? Thank you. The same way I'm going to do it here. I take the line output and I run it to the line input of the YOLO box, and then I add a 2-frame delay, which is 60 milliseconds in the US because we have 60 frames a second. And so I add a 2-frame delay so it matches with HDMI audio coming in. I know somebody just asked in the Facebook user group, and if you are on YouTube and haven't been to the Facebook user group, great group. Please check it out because there are a lot of really helpful people there. But someone just asked for more delay because they're using wireless video transmitters, and those video transmitters add another couple frames. So if you still want to have the audio that you're coming in directly match that, then you need to have more frames of delay, and there's not that much delay built into the YOLO box. The other option would be to feed audio to the camera and have the audio come with the video and be already delayed. Is a HDMI audio injector a workable solution? It lets you add an audio signal to an existing HDMI. Yes, it is. Absolutely, because I mean, technically that's what I'm doing here. I have a desk boom microphone, and if you've ever seen the setup, let me click on this here. Yeah, if you've ever seen my setup, go to the laptop. You can see right down here, actually, let me just go like this. This is the microphone I'm using. It's sitting down low because I tend to be looking down low at these things, and my camera is up here. It's actually not the webcam, that was just for that episode. So this goes into the camera that I'm using, and then the audio is being injected into the video stream that the camera is then sending to the YOLO box. So yes, that is definitely. Samuel says, I have 4 sets of Rode Wireless Go 2s, which allows me to use 8 wireless mics at the same time. They also work in conference environments with hundreds of users on Wi-Fi devices. Yes. Samuel, I think your experience really bears out, you know, the fact that Rode really has done a fantastic job in their hardware, their wireless, everything that they've got in those packages is just really good. And then using the app to tell the devices, you know, what levels and everything, you could really get really good in there. Oh, that was the thing I didn't get. Antigua in the house. Good to meet you, Hensley. Thank you. And Richie says, I'm watching from Jamaica, per usual. Okay, fine. Rub it in. Alexandro says, if you have more than one source of audio for on the go situations and you're okay with mini jack, I found a nice portable mixer that can also recommend separate tracks. That can also record the separate tracks. That's pretty cool. I am actually going to go get one. No, actually, it's right here. I don't have to go get it. There's also, if you have a portable recorder, Rode, you know, those people we've been talking about all day today. Rode makes this little XLR to mini jack converter. And, you know, it's got the hardware in here to take the signals and make it work. So what I'm actually feeding it is the microphone output of my thing, and this is going to my XLR mixer right here on the table. Oh, the one thing I find though is this microphone, which we'll get to in a second, needs phantom power, which is 48 volt power for the capsule, but the Rode does not like phantom power, so it's a little noisy when it's being hit with phantom power. Even though it can handle it, it has a little bit of noise when I listen with the good headphones to the audio mixer. Don't those isolators destroy a bit of the audio signal, especially in situations where you also stream music sources, DJing, etc.? I don't find that. Not at all, because audio isolation transformers, the way the transformer works is you have two things very close to each other. I mean, technically that's how power works too, the power going to your house. And if we were destroying power at every step of the way, we would have a very lossy system. But you take one side has a lot of windings and one side has less windings. So for power, you have 10,000 volts, and then you have 220 volts on this side, you know, and that's how you take and you convert between the high power lines and your local power in your house through those transformers. The same thing happens with audio, except you've got the same windings on both sides, and the audio signal passes through the magnetic coupling of those two transformers. But because they're not physically, there's no physical wire that goes all the way through, the difference in the ground level, it's really hard to explain. But that is not electrically touching from the two sides. So they isolate, but they pass through. It's probably filtering some of the frequencies corresponding to the buzz. No, it's not filtering any frequencies. It's not a filter. It is literally passing. Like if you have really bad audio that's all over the thing, it's going to pass really bad audio, and it will pass good audio as well. Especially if you get a good one. You know, yes, if you spend, you know, I don't anticipate, what did I do with it? That this adapter, which I cannot find right now, that I just had a second ago. Really, I can't find it. Oh, there it is. I don't anticipate this teeny little adapter to be high fidelity, but then again, I'm just doing conferences with one person speaking on stage. So if it's slightly less high fidelity than whatever crappy mic that the house audio gives them, I'm not terribly worried about that. If I was doing music, yeah, I would spend many times more than that on a good isolation transformer from a name brand. I actually have one. Let me go get it. Is it in here? It's probably over. I apologize for walking out of frame so many times, but I think it's probably worthwhile. I can't find it. There we go. There we go. All right, so, you know, yes, this is a bit bulkier, so I've got multiple things to bring. This is art accessories, so you can see mic in and mic out. But then at the top, isolated mic out. So if I just wanted to pass things, these two are electrically connected, and this one is isolated via transformers. So this is something I would say would probably sound better than the cheap version I'm using just for dialogue. So this would be something I would use in a more professional situation where I was doing music and I needed to faithfully represent the nuances of what I was recording. I would go to this. But as I'm not doing that, I'm not worried about it. There's actually a discussion about video. Volume is better. Moving to 8 is great. Thank you very much. Can you show a basic setup on YOLObox part sound and describe partly? I will be doing some audio here in a minute. We're halfway through already. The settings. In the settings, what's the difference between the YOLObox firmware update and HDMI firmware update? I think the HDMI update was something that was, I mean, over a year ago, that was a separate thing, and I did it once and it updated something once. That item remains there. It remains with the update button, but there hasn't been an HDMI update on the YOLObox or any of them in probably a year. So I would not worry about the HDMI update being a separate thing that you need to worry about. Arturo says, greetings from London. Why do all these fancy mixers want XLR? YOLObox Pro is 3.5 millimeter in, wireless mics are 3.5 millimeter out. Converting to XLR makes it super chunky. I agree. XLR, I'm going to pull this cable out because the other one. XLR is super chunky compared to, if I can find a spare one here somewhere. I don't have a spare one. Compared to 3.5 millimeter. Big difference in size. But there's also a big difference in purpose. XLR cables are balanced audio cables made to carry a very low-level microphone signal a long way with zero noise. This is a mono signal. The headphone jack, or 3.5 millimeter, is made to carry a line level signal a very short distance and is completely susceptible to noise. Usually you don't get a whole lot of noise because if you are taking your, let me plug this back in. If you're taking your receiver and it's on top of your camera and you've got a cable that's this long between them, there's not a whole lot of wire that's going to catch a lot of RF noise or buzz or whatever. But you're not going to send this from the stage via a wire all the way to the back of the room. That's where XLR really comes into play, because very technically, XLR has a ground or a common and then two hot leads. One hot lead is positive, one hot lead is negative, and they're traveling out of phase. And then in the mixer, those two out of signal, hey, I'm practicing, those two out of phase signals, one of them gets flipped. So now the signal is in phase. But any noise, like when they were out of phase, any noise that hits this from a machine, from a motor, from just anything going on along the way, that noise is going to be in phase on both of those wires that are traveling. But when it gets flipped, that noise is canceled and gone. That is the magic of XLR, and it is worth it when you need it. It is absolutely worth it, which is why professional audio uses XLR. If you spend $2,000 on a high-end audiophile audio mixer, guess what it's going to have on the back of it? XLR. And we will get into the audio mixers in here. I'm just trying to catch up on the comments. I'm currently using the Godox Movie Link wireless mic without any problems. Greetings from London. Good, Arturo, good to have you here. Cool, thanks for the explanations on isolators. Very good to know. Happy to help. I think the sound meter in the Yellow Box Pro might need a little calibration by the tech team in an update, because even though the sound is perfect and the meter is yellow, the sound seems low on the stream. Yes. If you've ever used an Atomos recorder, the meters on the Atomos have actual numbers next to them. And there's a 1 volt peak to peak that is supposed to be the 0 dB audio norm. And that the meter on the YOLO box does not have numbers on it. So we don't exactly know how they're calibrating it or what they're using as a guide. And then when you go into the audio mixer and you say, go up 2 dB, well, 2 dB louder than I don't know how loud it was is the problem. So without knowing where everything is and it being absolute and bulletproof in terms of this is always the exact same thing, it's really hard to know what you're doing. So I also look forward to a new update with, hey, even a stereo meter so I can see the left and right channel would be good too. Tried the scoreboard timer a few times and had picture freezes. The timer and mic still work, but the camera picture would freeze. I won't try the scoreboard timer again until the next update. Okay. Alexandra says, currently testing the 131 beta for the Yellow Box Mini. A few glitches, but new features are really cool. Crop source that is, Yes, crop source. We actually covered cropping and virtual inputs in a previous live. Fantastic feature. Honestly, it is a fantastic feature. I don't know how they crammed it into the YOLO box and now the Mini. It is a fantastic feature. And hello from Kettering, Northamptonshire, United Kingdom. Northamptonshire, that's a long one. All right, I thank you all for chiming in there. If you joined us late, let me know where you're watching from. I'd love to find out where everybody's watching from, but let's get to the meat of today's show, which is talking about audio for live streaming. And what mic should I use? The answer to what mic should you use for live streaming is, everybody let's say it together, depends on what you need it to do. And just like I'm using a boom microphone because I don't want to wear a lav microphone. If I stand in one spot, this works very well. If I move back, it does not work as well. So if you have a lecturer who's going to be walking from back and forth on stage, something like that, this is not the best mic to use. That's literally the reason. Like this is a podium mic. I am actually going to switch from the camera mic to my demo kit here. So let me turn this one on. I'm going to put my Earbuds, I have two sets of headphones here. Earbuds are what's going out from the YOLO box. And let me go to audio. Going to turn off HDMI. Hello, hello, hello. And this is the audio mixer. Okay, I can't listen to myself, but I do need to hear the signal. So I am going to be listening to the output of the actual audio mixer through my headphones. Let's go to overhead and go here. So I have now set this up and we are listening to this microphone, which is my boom microphone. 1, 2, 3. Hello, hello, hello. Actually, go both. Hello, hello, hello. Perfect if you need to make a sound of a rocket ship taking off. But again, if you have a podium mic or a desk mic and you have someone who then likes to go off to the side of the podium and talk, it's again not going to be the right mic for you. If you want to use a lavaliere, in this case we're using the wireless full aim lavaliere. That is, I'm going to bring this down and bring this up. 1, 2, 3. Sounds like I got a little bit of an echo in here. Let's see. Nope, should just be the one channel. Or maybe, yeah, let's see. I'm going to back this out just a little bit. 1, 2, 3. All right, that sounds a little better. It still sounds like I got a little bit of an echo. These are down. All right, take that down too. And this way, if the person speaking is talking and then all of a sudden they decide to walk around, it doesn't matter where they go because the audio is going with them. The capture device, the microphone, is always the same exact spot. Even if they decide to turn and talk to, they're presenting something on the thing and they want to like actually walk over and touch the screen and everything, you can still hear them because the microphone works with them. But this is not always the best microphone if you have a client who does not want to see this the whole time, you know. So another microphone I have is this one. Now this one is actually flying above. This is another shotgun microphone, but it sounds different than the microphone I have down here because it's actually flying in the air. And I've also added a little bit of bass to it, and I've taken down the middle. And if I wanted to, I can add some reverb. Hello, everyone. So, you know, that's the effect up here. So that's an example of things you can do. So it maybe not that much reverb, but if you wanted to just fill in the microphone a little bit and not use plate, but we could use chorus, chorus, hello and welcome. Delay, 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 delay. Okay, that's annoying. Room, room, do hello, hello, hello. Let me move out of the way so you can see what I'm doing here. Mix 2, mix 1, delay, 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 delay. Okay, enough, okay, enough, okay, enough. Chorus, 1, 2, 3, and then you can adjust the settings of these different effects here. Vocal 1, vocal 2, vocal 1. So this, I actually will admit, I used this in a award show, and I added just a little bit of that extra, makes it sound like a bigger room type of thing to everyone walking up on stage. It just added a little bit more fullness to the sound than this, which doesn't just sounds like a microphone. But for doing a presentation, this is probably exactly what you want. You want a clean sound without an effect, as opposed to adding an effect on top of your audio. And as you can see right here, this is my headphone coming out, and this headphone is 1/8 inch, just as was mentioned, 1/8 inch over to the line input on the YOLO box. And again, I've used a 2-frame delay so that the audio instantly going into the YOLO box has the same delay as the video, which has a delay because it has to sync multiple cameras. So what it does is it takes the video in, it deconstructs it, it delays it so it matches everything else, and then brings them all in together. So that takes about 2 frames. And you need to delay your analog audio coming into your mixer to match the video. Excuse me. Now, you could also, you see a lot of people do podcasts, have those big microphones sitting on the desk, and yes, I'm very, professional, and they'll have XLR on the bottom too, and that'll come into your mixer, because you never know how far the mixer could be in a different room. Somebody else could be handling the audio. So you want to make sure that if you've got a 20-foot cable or a 50-foot cable to go all the way around the room and through the wall, you want to make sure that that audio is noise-free when it comes into the mixer. This is an example of the, oh, you can't, this is yellow. This is the microphone I have flying above me. This is a Sennheiser, very good brand name. This is a Sennheiser K6 ME66 shotgun mic. And over here, I have the Rode handle. You can get these from other manufacturers and knockoff things. But what this does is, this is great if you're doing an interview on location. And yeah, you hear that? You might hear that moving around. That's the transmitter interfering with other things. But this gives you, look, I'm talking, now you're talking. I'm talking, now you're talking. And this is the perfect mic if you're in a situation where you want to do an interview and you control who speaks when. When they see the mic come to you, they know they're not going to be heard. And then when you're giving them a chance to talk, say, so what do you think of this? And you give them the mic, they know I can talk now and I will be heard because I'm talking into the mic, and they know where to talk because you just put it in front of their face. And you can adjust it. If you're listening, you can adjust it for best sound, a little closer and everything. And then back to me. That's very interesting. Thank you very much for your thoughts. And then you can ask someone else something, and they know they're being asked, not the original person. They know they're not going to be heard if they start talking. So this is the perfect mic for that situation. So the perfect microphone really comes down to what you're looking to do with it. If you have a sit-down interview, then you could have table mics. You could have, the podcast mic on a big arm, so everybody could be like, and they all like pull it really close, and these sound really good. I'm not knocking these mics. They sound really good, but they also, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be in place to make those things usable. And then, of course, you could always use lavaliers. If you have a panel on stage and, you don't have the arms, you can't use a shotgun microphone for the stage. You need to have the microphones very close to the person's mouth as they're talking in some sort of like conference or panel event. And as they turn and talk to different people, you want the microphone to travel with them. So that's where a lavalier really comes into play. And all of those can pass through a multi-channel mixer like this. And what something like that does is, if one person has a higher pitched voice, then I can say, let me go to this microphone, and I can adjust the treble and the bass, or the treble and the bass of that particular microphone, or that for that particular speaker, or where it ended up. Maybe hers is lower, or some guy has a really boomy voice. Well, I'm going to go to that microphone over here. I'm going to go to this microphone, and I'm going to turn that down, and I can adjust for each person what's going on. And then this is actually a podcast. So this is the Live Track L8. A mixer like this, and there are bigger and smaller versions of this. Is one that can fit in your hand, but this gives you multiple outputs as well. And what you can do is you can then have, someone needs it louder because they're harder of hearing. Someone wants it quieter. You can adjust the audio level for each output because each one's different. And in this particular model, I can actually go to right here, mix A, B, and C, and I can adjust what I want on mix A, which is right here. I'm going to say on mix A, I want just this microphone and not the other ones. And then on mix B, I don't want this microphone, I want this microphone. So each person cannot hear themselves, but hear the other people. And then you've got different mixes stored so that whoever's listening to mix A and whoever's listening to mix B, they're getting a different mix than the program. And that's really handy also in terms of mix minus, which I will cover in a video coming up. Mix minus is the ability of system whereby whoever's talking does not hear themselves. Well, if you have a panel on stage and you need to feed that to the audience, but then you don't want a remote guest coming in and feeding into the microphones, you have to create a version of that where the audio that's being recorded by the microphones does not include that remote person that then goes back to them. So it is a tricky thing to set up and to get right. So it's going to take a little bit of time to get that working. So that is a quick look at this. You can also see I've got this other thing over here. This is another Sennheiser. This is the AVX. Let me move out of the way. This is the Sennheiser AVX, and this is a 1.9 gig, I think it is, transmitter and receiver. And there's a slight bit of delay with this as well. Even compared to the 2.4, there's more of a delay with this. But this exists in its own frequency that is not Wi-Fi and that is not TV channels. And so that's also an option if you're in an RF hostile environment as well. So that is a quick rundown of some of these. And of course, there's always the good old standard handheld microphone that's good for singers and things like that. And of course, guess what that has? XLR. So that is what is the right microphone for live streaming. Depends on what you need it for. It really does. So let me. Hi from UK. Is it possible to enable both mic and line in for simultaneous use with the current YOLO box hardware? That is a very good question, and you know what? I'm going to try it right now. Let me see. I am going to. Now, the cool thing is the YOLO box does not know. Let's go to the Pro. Let's go over here. Move to settings, and then there we go. We should see the interface. Let me put this up. And what I'm going to do is we're going to go to the audio mixer. This one's being very laggy right now. I'm going to turn off audio follow video. And then you can see right here, I only have HDMI 1 plugged in. What I'm going to do is I am going to first, before I go change any microphones, let me change my microphone in the show. So now I'm back on the microphone that goes with the camera, and I can unplug cables. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in a cable into the microphone, and then you'll see at the bottom of this screen, mic in has appeared. And then I'm going to plug in another cable into the line input. And then we will see mic in, line in, and it looks like you can only select one or the other with the YOLO box. So apparently it's one audio input processing, and which jack it's connected to, you have to select between mic in or line in. And again, I said that I would tell you what I know, and if I don't know, in this case, I was able to test it, so we're able to get that answer. But if I did not know, I would say, you know what, I actually don't know. But we were able to easily test that, and it goes back to test, test, test to get the answers you need. And let me go back to comments. The recent updates for the YOLO Box Pro include monitor in the audio mixer, and that controls the headphone audio, not affecting the audio master program. Yes, but it also affects the meter, which is part of the problem. Like, yes, I might want to turn my monitoring down, but I need to see the meter at the proper level. I use that Rode setup for weddings when the bride and groom say hello to the YouTube virtual guests. Yes, the Rode microphone, this handle, I mean, there are knockoffs that, I mean, this one costs way more than a single piece of plastic and a foam windscreen should cost. Because if I can buy a set of 10 foam windscreens for $10, that means this is $1. And this is a single piece of plastic. This shouldn't cost but 50 cents. But this costs, I don't know, like $60 as a kit. Now, the weird thing is there's knockoffs, and none of the knockoffs give you a windscreen. So you have to buy the knockoff handle and then you have to buy a windscreen, which you can do. But I like the fact that Rode is like, we'll just give you the whole thing and, you know, put our name on it, you know, which anybody else could do too. But so I might end up buying a, just a generic foam windscreen anyway, because I just want to have the windscreen. I don't necessarily want to be advertising people's product all the time, which is why, you know, like I says, I like these. There's no, if you clip this on, it's not saying the company's name the whole time to the camera. Similar to the Zoom, but slightly bigger, is the Tascam Model 12 is an amazing one. Yes. And also, like I said, the Zoom has got a little pod track. This is the live track. They've got a little pod track 4, which is, it literally fits in your hand, but it's got 4 XLRs. It's got 4 headphone outputs. It's got sound pads like this one has, so you can do sound effects. It even has a mix minus port, which is also very handy if you want to bring in someone from a cell phone, which this has right here. You know, if you've got a headphone jack, and I know Lightning, you know, you go Lightning to TRRS, that can plug in right here, and then you can do mix minus. So the person on the call, see the little cell phone indicator, the person on the call can get everything from the board, but they don't hear themselves, which is built in, and it's very cool. So I think that should help everyone understand that audio is really important. Getting good audio is really important, and the way you get good audio varies widely depending upon your situation. You know, like right here in my studio, this I would not use this. This is annoying. It's in the way. The camera's going to focus on it. So if I move it here, the camera's going to focus on it. This is not a good solution for me. You know, we're just going to yank this out right now. So, and this is the little gooseneck microphone that I have. But when I'm doing a live show with remote people, this is kind of cool, because then I have a talkback microphone and I bring it up only when I want to talk to those people, which is really nice. Using a shotgun microphone is essentially what I'm doing with the microphone I have here, except that I have brought it from above down below, because a lot of what I do, I'm facing down to demonstrate stuff. So I'm more facing the mic now than if I left the microphone up there. So that's why I'm doing that. If you have a podcast with a bunch of people around a table, you know, going to a nice large diaphragm microphone will give everyone great sound, and then you can run it into an audio mixer. If you're doing something where people are going to move, lavaliere is always a great choice, because it's going to be right where the sound is coming from. It'll travel with people. I do know you can hire location sound people, and they will, you know, have a shotgun microphone on a boom that they'll bring in, and it'll be fairly close, and they will move it around to follow the person who's moving. That's always really good too, because that doesn't have the body sound. Like, you know, you get a different sound when a mic is placed against the body, and a microphone out in space, open space, I mean, captures a more open, natural sound. And it also helps to include a little bit of the room that the person's speaking in, so that can be very helpful as well. So, you know, that's kind of a run through most microphones. I know the description said PZM, but PZM is really mostly for music and stage. So I don't think that necessarily applies unless you're doing a tap dancing show and you want to put some PZMs on the stage. While we're on the topic of audio, there is still no way to mix USB audio source with HDMI or TRS sources. No, there is not on the YOLO box. And I think that might just be a CPU processing issue. Although, given the fact that the YOLO box has the line input, and it will mix audio from line input and other HDMI sources at the same time. So I can have this audio come in and I can have line audio come in, which I can do right now. I have my desk mic. Let me put this one here. And then I turn on, I see HDMI 1 is on, and then I can turn on my line input, and then I can add my reverb. Let's go over here, let's add some reverb. Bop, 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 bop. So now I have this one, and I have this one. So, and these are being mixed, let me turn that down. These are being mixed in the YOLO box. So the YOLO box Pro and the Mini both have audio mixers. They will take multiple audio inputs. You can have two cameras, each with their own microphone receivers, and all of that coming into the YOLO box, and then you can mix the audio in the YOLO box. That is something that a lot of other tablet-based products do not have. And the fact that it is here in the YOLO box is a great feature, that you don't have to bring, you know, this thing around to mix a couple different inputs, two different microphones. You just feed them into the cameras, and then you use the mixer that is in the YOLO box. And if I'm doing playback or laptop playback, I don't need an external mixer. I can just feed the laptop over HDMI, and it'll bring the audio with it. And then that, you know, if you select it on the output of the computer, then you can mix that. And then if you use audio follow video, when you go to the laptop, you'll hear that. And when you come back to me, the microphones will be back on. That is a great feature as well. Where the audio mixer in the YOLO Box Pro really comes into play is if you're doing remote guests. And this way you can have, you know, multiple guests, and their microphones will turn on when they are on, you know, when they are on the screen in the program, and their microphone will turn off when you pull them off the screen. Automatically, the YOLO Box will do audio follows video. So if it's on the video, the microphone's on. If it's not in the video, the microphone is off, which is a really handy feature. And that is the audio follows video button that is in the, if you see it right here, that's this part right here, audio follows video. Now, normally this defaults to on. So red is on. And I would say 95% of the time, people don't want audio follows video. So when I cut to this view, or when I cut to an overhead, this is, yeah, if I cut to just the overhead view, because my camera is not in the frame, it would normally turn my audio off, because that audio is, that video is not included. I don't want that. I want to keep being heard. So whenever I set up a new show, I have to go in here and I have to manually turn that off. And then this way, whatever you set, I want just this. There you go. I want just this, and I'm going to turn it up a little bit. And that is what is going to be the setting that stays because I set it. And as a producer, that's really what I want. You know, I'm picking the source, I'm picking the audio. That's what I want to happen. But again, there are times like when you have remote guests where audio follows video, the mixer built into the YOLO Box Pro and the Mini is really, really, really handy. Let's go back to comments. That was the ad. Let's go back to this one. For now, I saw I'm getting my micro HDMI to HDMI adapter for my ZV-1 rather than using its UVC USB out. Yes, I am using a ZV-1, and I am running my microphone into it, and then I have the micro HDMI coming into the YOLO Box. Yes, into the YOLO Box. Actually, it goes into a splitter so that I have it available, and the audio follows the video. It comes in on my HDMI one. It's always there. It's always reliable. And if I needed to record 4K, I could do that in the camera, and the audio would go in the recording in the camera. I wouldn't have the audio coming in later from the source. It always stays with the video. And even if you're doing wireless, it's harder, but I find that the best policy. If you can have the audio follow the video, the audio go with the video, it always helps to maintain the best sync possible. Here's a non-audio question. By the way, talking about default settings, any idea why crop source doesn't fit the screen by default? I hardly see a use case where we wouldn't want it to fit the screen. No, I kind of agree with you, but at the same time, if you're going into crop, I mean, it's one of those settings, it's not a default status of the machine. I'm going into a specific setup, and as part of the setup, that's just one of the things I tap on. It's like building a title. Why doesn't the lower third title always appear here? Well, I can have it appear anywhere I want, you know, so I can do that. The little checkbox to fit the screen when setting the crop source, I always forget it. Well, it's not as bad as forgetting to turn off audio follows video, which I have done. in previous shows. Oh man. So I appreciate everybody tuning in today. We have been here for over an hour. I know it doesn't feel like it. It certainly doesn't feel like it on my end, because I always have a blast talking to all of you and answering your questions and talking tech, which is what I like to do. It's what I've done for 15 years for Streaming Media Producer. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out. I invite you. Let's increase those subscriptions. Self plug. Actually, that's not a self plug because, there's lots of other really good writers there and lots of people talking about technology and gear and production and things like that. And if you're in the US, Streaming Media East is coming up in a few weeks. Actually, it is March, April, May. It's coming up in May. Streaming Media East is coming up in May. I have a 3-hour seminar that I will be giving at Streaming Media East, and I will be there for the whole show. So if you're there, come see us out. And next month is the National Association of Broadcasters Convention in Las Vegas, Nevada. That is in April. And that the YOLO team will be there. I'm still working on whether I will be there or not. We will find out in coming weeks. And I would love to see whoever does come. We should have a meetup at a certain day, at a certain time, where we can all get together and shake hands and really meet the people that we've gotten to know through the forums, through the videos and things like that. And I think that would be a wonderful opportunity to really help build the YOLO community. If you agree, mention it in the Facebook group, because I think that I haven't heard a specific date and time yet, but we need to get that situated ahead of time so that people who do have other things to go to know where and when it is. Time flies, says Kirk. Yes, it does. And I do appreciate you all being here. I will hope to see you all next week. Feel free, if you liked the show, to share it. If you think the audio information we provided today is valuable to other people that in the industry, take this YouTube link or this Facebook link and share it on yours or social media. We would appreciate it. If you haven't already, like and subscribe to the channel so that you can know when these things come up. Rakumar says, I use a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. Yes, that's also a very good tool. Great stream once again. Thanks so much. I appreciate the compliment. And again, a Q&A show is very much driven by the questions that you bring to the table. And as always, there were some really good questions that you all brought to me, and that gave me an opportunity to really elaborate on the various things that relate to doing streaming production. With that, I'm going to say that my name is Anthony Barocas. I'm here for YOLO Live, and we're here every Wednesday for Tech Talk Wednesdays. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.